Is Fred there?
What's up, guys? Welcome to Double Shot of Steelers. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, ready for another big show today. And I'm joined here in the studio by a whole bunch of people named Fred. For real. See, watch how this works here. Here's Fred. Come on in, Fred. See, you're stuck behind the logo. I have more Freds here. Here's another Fred. They're from Kansas. They're in town here. More Freds? You're not Fred. Come on in. No more Freds. What is it?
I'm Jack.
Jack is here as well. And where's the bashful one? Oh, not so bashful. What's your name?
Luke.
Luke is here too. Luke is here. And the boss is back there too of this clan. There she is. They're in from Kansas. They're just tourists taking in Pittsburgh. I love that. I love when that happens. That's so cool. Tourism, our number 3 industry, by the way. You people, you non-believers, you cynics, and so forth. We're going to have a good show today. I have a fun subject. Do you guys remember when, I don't think it was when Andy Weidl was hired, but when he came over from the Eagles and all of the talk was big, bad, intimidating, frightening. There's just going to be this whole team full of Calais Campbell types, right? And Weidl had the great line about how we wanted to build a team. We want to build a team that feels good about itself getting off the bus at the visiting stadium. I thought that was really cool. And at the same time, it aligns with the stuff that you know and wax about from the Steelers of the past, from the 70s, and how scary they were. Mean Joe Green and toothless Jack Lambert and Mel Blount, who was so terrifying in the secondary that they changed the rules for him. Bully ball, as Paulie calls it. And that's what everybody was super into. That's become part of this team's identity. It's become part of the franchise's identity, and it is richly deserved over that time. Here is what I wonder. Does it matter in 2025? Like, size absolutely matters, okay? It's football. If you've got yourself a bigger offensive lineman, chances are you've got yourself a better offensive lineman. There's more to it, but, you can throw that out there. If you're looking at what this team can be from an identity perspective, and we talk about DK Metcalf, Darnell Washington, and these players who are unusually large for their positions. And then you get into Y.A. Black, who's just unusually large for the Homo sapiens species. On the other side of the ball, you can start making a case that the Steelers should have a little bit of something as they get onto the field. But do they? Is that thing real? Does it have any actual effect? Are players going to go, oh no, I'm afraid of those guys? Or is there just nothing at all to this? Because in large part, a lot of what's been lost in football, and I feel it's for the better because of player safety, the real intimidation factor didn't come, if you ask me, from what Vic is calling here big body types. It came from the hits and the nature of the hits, and in turn, the legality of those hits. Ryan Clark, never the biggest guy. Mike Mitchell, never the biggest guy. What were they? They were punishing safeties who knew how to time their hits and who knew how to get a significant amount of damage inflicted. Not that they were trying to hurt people, but football damage to the people that they were hitting. James Fairfield says here, if you're afraid of other players, you shouldn't even be in the NFL. And then there's some of that too. The more of these players who get involved at a higher level of football earlier on in their lives and their careers and colleges and so forth, and playing in front of 100,000 people and on network television, they're not going to get weirded out by walking onto an NFL field. So when we come back, we're going to be joined by Chris Halleck, and we're going to take some of your questions, comments, criticisms, and whatever else on this particular subject right after this.
At DK Pittsburgh Sports, we take pride in coverage that connects our city's fans to their favorite teams. Now, that connection's stronger than ever. Introducing our all-new state-of-the-art app. Find expert inside reporting and original podcasts. Check live box scores. Track the latest stats. Chat it up with our community of thousands of fans, all in one place. The new app from DK Pittsburgh Sports. Coverage that connects.
Welcome back. John Malesko has me laughing out loud here. He says, I watched a Facebook reel of vicious NFL hits, and of the 12 they showed, 9 were Steelers and Ravens hits. Ugliest admission within that is that John was surfing on Facebook. That's not, you don't want to do that in public, man, and not in the year 2025. This episode of Double Shot of Steelers is brought to you by Dazzle Sports, our new proud sponsor. Whether it's one item or a whole collection, don't hesitate to contact Dazzle Sports. They buy trading cards, memorabilia, big or small. Join Dazzle Sports Auction on Facebook to buy, sell, or trade memorabilia, plus exclusive deals and giveaways. If you prefer eBay, search for Collectibles Central for you and discover rare items and weekly drops from Dazzle Sports. Dazzle Sports isn't just a store. It's where sports memories come to life. Memorabilia, custom framing, autographs, cards, other collectibles, much more. Visit to browse and buy your next collectible from the comfort of your own home. And use the code, this is important, Double Shot, one word. That's for you. When you check out on dazzle-sports.com for a 20% discount on your entire order. Again, that's Double Shot, one word, whenever you check out. Joined by, there's Chris.
Hey.
What's going on?
So I would have been on probably about 3 minutes ago, but as I went to turn my ring light on, I went to step over it and then kicked over my entire tripod, which knocked my camera down, knocked my light down, knocked everything down. So
the worst part of this is we didn't get it on video to show everybody. Where's our outtakes?
We probably couldn't have had that on YouTube. The video would have been demonetized with the language that followed.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, we don't want that. Chris, who I believe is from Nova Scotia, and believe it or not, checked in here last week as well. We have people whenever it's kind of cool that when they come in, as this family just did now from Kansas, when they come into Pittsburgh, they don't come for us, obviously, but they make us a stop, which is really cool. Like, well, we just did this. We did Kennywood. We did the Incline. We did Point State Park. And now we're coming to see you. All right, cool. Chris awesome. Says football has always been and will always be a violent game where skill makes a difference. Intimidation is still a thing. Chris, what are your thoughts on this? Is there still look, you can say that a player is intimidating. You can describe his size. You can describe his persona, the trash talking and whatever else here. But in order for someone to be an intimidator, there has to be an intimidatee. Who are these people who are intimidated and have made it to the National Football League?
Well, that's really the kind of defining characteristic there is that everybody who makes it to the NFL is the best of the best of the best of the best
and
of the best.
Toughest.
Yeah.
They're not all Ben Skoranek, but
right.
You know, they're in that realm.
Yeah. And so it is true though that even when you get to that level, the toughest guys still kind of separate themselves from the other guys. And the Steelers do pride themselves on having guys who like to beat other guys up. And I'm not necessarily talking about in illegal ways, but sometimes you kind of flirt with the line. But I mean, I think one of the things nowadays that I think where it's Mike Tomlin might have most difficult time in terms of riding the line is trying to keep instilling that, because we've seen his defenses be like that before. I mean, the 2010 Steelers defense was responsible for pretty much the player safety initiative.
And the mid 90s Steelers too, to go back a little bit further, were doing some, it was a scary group. In large part just because of the numbers that they sent. You just felt like you couldn't operate your offense against them.
Yeah, 55 sacks in 1994 is ridiculous. It's 55 sacks nowadays is a lot.
And that doesn't even tell you like how often they actually got back there and terrorized.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it was every snap. These guys, it was incredible. Yeah. I just don't know that's still a thing. I don't see when the Steelers are facing. The Steelers defense is facing an opponent. I don't think this is specific to the Steelers. I don't ever see that team that's going, like even last year in Denver. Remember you and I were talking about Bo Nix and the Broncos and how they looked like they were going to be the worst offense that we ever saw. They eventually grew up, over the course of the season. But at the time, I don't know that I thought, wow, Nix looks like he's scared out there. I just don't think they knew what the hell they were doing, meaning Denver.
Right. No, I agree with that. I do think that the intimidation factor it's still there. And one way that I know it's tangible is through watching the Jets film last year. There were times if Rodgers was getting hit early and often, you could tell body language, everything. I'm sick of getting hit. I'm sick of being under pressure. I'm sick of having a guy
intimidated. That's going into self-preservation mode. That's different.
It is, but at the same time, it's whether you want to classify it as intimidation or anything, it is changing the way he's playing the game, which ultimately that's another way a defense can beat an offense is make them play differently than the way they want to play through just being more physical than they are.
Exactly. And we're talking way too much about defense here because the probably the most compelling case that you can make right now for intimidation comes when an offense is running it down your throat. Okay. Yeah. And, Noodleman Jones here says Beanie with a $2 contribution. Beanie looked a little bit nervous to be tackling, Derrick Henry. I'm not going to levy that accusation. I thought eventually everybody looked like they were a little tired of tackling Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
That happens. He does that. We've also seen that in the reverse. We've seen whenever Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris would have those angry runs. I don't know that you think of either of them as, in particular, Jaylen as intimidating, but you get tired of somebody just, crashing into your solar plexus here every 15 seconds. There's an awful lot of intimidation that used to happen on the offensive side of the ball as well. Let's try to find one here, Chris. Instead of saying it does or doesn't exist here, does Philadelphia have that element? Do they scare you offensively or defensively or both?
I think. Well, number one, they scare you offensively because Saquon Barkley can rip one at any time. I mean, he could just go off literally any carry.
That's a different scary, but yeah.
That's a different scary, but it's still scary. And again, it forces you to change the way you play because above all things, you don't want him to hit that crease and then be able to take off.
Yeah.
But I mean, shoot, go to the Super Bowl and look at what that defensive front did to not only Kansas City's offensive line, but look at Patrick Mahomes and his body language throughout the rest of that game. He was probably the most flustered I've ever seen him. Not that I've watched every single Chiefs game, but obviously they're on TV a lot. I watch a lot of football. I've seen a lot of Chiefs games. I've seen a lot of Patrick Mahomes games, and I cannot think of a time in which he was more flustered than the Super Bowl because they were back there. I felt like every single time he dropped back, and that changes the way you want to run the ball. That changes the way you want to throw the ball. It changes everything. And you'd like to see the Steelers be able to get to do that a little bit more, whether obviously you'd love to do it with a 4-man pass rush, but even if that requires more blitzing, which I do think they're going to do more of this year, You want to see them be able to, impose their will a little bit more often.
That's it. Just get an edge. Find an edge, whatever that happens to be.
Yeah.
That's kind of obvious on defense. And I agree that going after the quarterback, there's more ways to do that than just saying, dial up the blitz or whatever, or just, send Jalen Ramsey. I think just having the defensive line have more of that mindset. The actual defensive line, the interior guys. Let it be known that Cam Hayward, the Derek Harmon, that was his specialty in college. And Keanu Benton's allowed to make plays too. He's allowed to get back there. He's allowed to make a difference. But the main thing is, for me, is offensively. When you talk about imposing your will in football, what's the first thing that comes to mind? It's 3rd and 1, 4th and 1.
Yeah. And the Steelers were not good at it last year at all.
No. And when they have been good at it over the past half decade, it hasn't been because they've scared anybody. It's because they've had, like, Kenny Pickett could just make himself real skinny and slide. I don't know how he did that, but he did. It was like magic. He would just whoop, and he'd be in there, and you'd like, that's an automatic play. Kenny wasn't scaring anybody.
Yeah. But he could get that QB sneak though. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you develop that? Because a lot of that is your swagger there. And, is it really worth putting this much of the team? I'm only asking this. I'm not doubting it. I'm asking it of everybody, including you, Chris. They have emphasized this so greatly that it had better be worthwhile. That's what I'm saying. It had better be something that, a couple people here are bringing up the tush push. It still isn't happening in Pittsburgh. Maybe it will. We're going to find that out in Latrobe, I would presume, because there's no way you're just going to walk that into a regular season game without trying it.
Yeah.
Danny says that the tush push is unstoppable. I don't know if that's literally true, but it certainly seems like it's got a really, really high success rate.
The Eagles are
they're
best.
Probably about 100% at it.
Yeah, they are pretty amazing at doing it. So it's. I don't think Mike Tomlin likes the rule, but you don't have to like the rule. Take advantage of it. If it's a near automatic play, take advantage of it. But at the same time, you could also just get better at trying to get 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1 the old fashioned way. Handing the ball off to your running back and letting him get it. Have your offensive lineman.
How about not a tush push? How about just a football push?
Yeah.
Move somebody backward. How about that? Sean Grass says it's hard to play. But this is a good point here. Hard to play bully ball on defense when your base alignment features 9 guys under 260 pounds. And that's what Sean's referring to more than anything else here. I don't know if they're all under 260, but is that the inside linebacker position has changed so much. Not to mention the elimination of the nose tackle, that your average size on defense is going to be smaller. I get that. I also get that you don't have that monstrous Lawrence Timmons type to just scare the heck out. Not that LT was scary. I guess when he was puking on the field, he was scary. The projectile vomiting, you wouldn't want to get in his way. But otherwise, he had the big old school frame there in the middle, and you don't have that as much anymore. And that used to be what you would think of when you would think of intimidation in football. It wasn't the edge rusher, wasn't the interior lineman. You would think of the middle linebacker waiting to eat you. That doesn't exist anymore either.
I was actually going to say that 2008 defense or the 2010 defense, like those defenses, the guy who was probably scariest in terms of doing damage whenever he hit you was probably Ryan Clark.
Oh, that's who I mentioned in the opening segment.
Yeah,
this is while you were falling all over yourself there in your studio. No, RC was the terror.
Yeah, so
people thinking they're going to lose their careers, or get really hurt in life.
That hit on Willis McGahee in the 08 AFC Championship to me is still probably one of the scariest hits I've ever seen. But he wasn't a big guy. I mean, I think now Deshaun Elliott can absolutely lay the wood if he needs to, man. Like he really does. Patrick Queen is very, very capable of giving some big hits, and the Steelers have some pretty good tackling corners too. Joey Porter Jr. has really turned into a pretty decent tackling corner. Whenever he was coming out of college, he was not good at it at all.
He has improved so much.
He has improved a lot in terms of his tackling. And
who agrees with that, by the way, Chris? Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah.
He'd be the first one to tell you that. You notice how much better I've gotten at tackling? Yeah, Joey. Yeah, you're good.
Yeah. But even asking or even bringing in Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey is another guy who will lay some hits. So they absolutely have some guys who can be very, very physical in the middle of the field, on the outside. I don't think that's the biggest issue when it comes to this defense, because I think if they just execute better,
some designs do have double.
if it's just all 11 guys doing their job, I think more consistently you're going to see offenses get sick and tired of playing against that defense.
Yeah. But again, if you go back to the offensive side,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, this is the side that interests me on multiple levels, but
Yeah.
For you to develop that, and if you put out there, have you done this yet, Chris? Just throw out a formation where you've got all three tight ends out there. Who's on the field? Just give me who's on the field.
Well, right now, I mean, if you're in 13, you've got Freiermuth, Smith, and Washington as your three tight ends. Most likely, your one receiver is DK Metcalf. Your one running back would be most likely Jalen Warren, but could be Caleb Johnson.
Be either guy. Yep.
Yeah, it could be anybody. So yeah, that would be it. That's a lot of size.
That's a lot of size, and it's potentially a lot of, here's that term again, push.
Yeah.
Because that's all we're talking about here. They don't have to scare the other team. This is where I'm getting at this terminology today, this idea of scaring or intimidating or whatever else here. I just don't listen to these guys. Listen to them talk. They're not afraid of anybody. Who's the boldest? Who's the boldest, most courageous individual on this entire roster, Chris, out of all 53 guys? This is a subjective opinion here, obviously, but I'll take the little 5'8" guy who's waiting for that punt to come down.
Yeah.
And he's ready to just get trampled. You say something to him afterward, like, Cal, what are you doing, man? Why would you just let it bounce? Just let it roll a couple yards and save your life.
Yeah.
Okay. But everyone's coming in here. All of you are with CA3. He is not intimidated. He is not scared of anybody or anything.
Yeah.
So I just think maybe we're talking about semantics here or anything. You would love to see the Steelers be a lot more of what the Eagles are. And I know a lot of you are tired of hearing that. They do a Philadelphia show. You don't talk about the Eagles so much. But they could use a lot of that. At the same time, I don't think they're going to take the field and literally have the Ravens or the Bengals or even the Browns, just going, oh, geez, wow, man, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's call this for what it is.
Yeah. I mean, that is, I think one of the things that, like, I think I was talking about earlier, that Mike Tomlin needs to find a new way to balance the ability to be more modern, but also kind of keep that old school physical toughness at the same time. And that's a hard line to ride, because so much of, I think, the NFL today is all about schematics and matching up and making sure that because offenses have never been more complex than they are now. And so it's not just as easy to just line up and be like, just beat the guy across from you.
Right.
A lot of times you have to work in unison all together.
Oh no.
What?
How did we make it 24 minutes and 6 seconds into a show on this subject and not bring up probably the last guy to actually have this effect on people? And that would be your Debo.
Oh yeah.
You can't tell me Debo didn't have people freaked out.
Oh yeah.
Everything I said on this program, erase it as it applies to Debo. Who was that Kansas City? Do you remember this game? The Kansas City tackle where Debo just destroyed him all day long. First round pick. Somebody's going to come up with this name.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to do this. It was someone from the Chiefs, first round pick. Ended up being a pretty nice player for them. But at the time, oh my God, he saw 92 and he just wanted to run and hide.
So Sean mentions Eric Fisher.
Eric Fisher was it.
Okay. Right.
That's exactly who it was. It was unbelievable to see what happened to Fisher that day. He just locked up. He wasn't even getting a part of Debo.
Yeah.
He was just like, which way would you prefer to go this time, sir? Would you prefer to go under my armpit like you usually do? Would you prefer to just bowl me over? Just let me know in advance here and we can work out something, sir.
Yeah.
So, Lucy came in late here. Lucy should have popped in the first 10 minutes. What about James Harrison? But then where's there another Debo? Who's got one of those?
Those do not grow on trees. I mean, and I mean, you got to think that his entire background played a big role in who he became. I mean, because it's not just the fact that he was a physical freak that would just use his body as a temple of let's just see how insanely strong I can make myself and how fast I can, he was just watching him work out and all those videos that he's put out is ridiculous.
It's on purpose too. He knows what he's doing.
Oh yeah.
They show him. He's he buys a new house. So the next day on Instagram, you see him bench pressing the house.
Yeah.
And he's got these 3.5 foot chains hanging off of his shoulders, and even the stuff where he's doing stuff with his kids. It's all he can juggle them. It's all part of the. It's part of the mystique, part of the everything. And Teresa says, yeah, James intimidated everybody, and I don't know if Teresa meant this or not, but that was on both sides. Meaning on the Steelers' end, too. Mm-hmm. There's only one of those. I'm really honestly trying to think of somebody else in the National Football League who currently has that kind of rep. And if you guys have one, it is not Myles Garrett.
No.
If you guys have one.
He's different. He's different. And he's different in just being a physical specimen type of way. He can just do things physically that almost nobody else in the league can from his position, which is why he can just move around the way he does. But it's different. It's not the same. James Harrison was that guy where if he's at the other end of an alley, you are booking it the other way. Yeah, you're booking it the other way.
You're considering the alternatives.
Right. But Myles Garrett's not, I mean, as physically imposing as he can be, and believe me, he tries to make that known every time he does an interview since he never wears the shirt. But still, it's a different kind of intimidation with Myles Garrett.
The dumpster chicken says, "Can you imagine Debo looking at Debo across from you?" And this was part of what he would do. I mean, I think I've shared with you guys the one answer that he gave me in Latrobe that I never forgot. What is it that you're looking to do here this year? Debo, is there any kind of changes, adjustments, or anything else? He said, the sport doesn't change. Beat the man across from you.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's right. At the end of the day, he's right, And AD, you see, this is where we get into different types of definitions of, Aaron Donald then, but he's retired for now. AD didn't intimidate you like that. He could get around you, go through you, twist you, this, that, and whatever else, and beat a number of you. But I don't know that was intimidating in the schematic sense. You were worried about, like Chris was saying about Saquon Barkley. Mm-hmm. Okay, that can have an impact on you. I'm talking about actually being freaking scared.
Another guy, and somebody mentioned it here, and we talk about non-Steelers. Ray Lewis was another one of them.
Ray was one of them.
Ray Lewis was, I mean, Yeah.
That is accurate. Jack Long says Roquan Smith. I don't see Roquan as that guy.
No, not that kind of. There aren't, again, inside linebacker has changed so much over the years that it's just Vontez Perfect was
Just because he was nuts.
Yeah.
And he legitimately had
tried
no
to
issue
hurt people.
with ending your career. He had no issue with it. Now, did that make him scary? I mean, I'm sure it did.
No, so that's
should it have? No,
Yeah,
he should have been legislated out of the game.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the difference between like James Harrison and Vontez Perfect was, James Harrison got all those fines, but that was when the NFL started changing things when the Steelers were already playing that way. And so the Steelers had to learn on the fly. Vontez Perfect came after the NFL made all the changes and said, but I'm going to do things my way anyway. I don't care. And that it was different. It was different. Oh, Urlacher's another good one. Thomas brings up Urlacher.
Okay, but what does everybody around here think about when they hear Urlacher? Okay,
well that's a little bit.
Just picture the snow coming down, and here comes the bus around the bend. Oh, there goes Urlacher on his behind. Around O'Hare Airport. I don't know, for those of you who are either in Chicago or who make it there regularly, they have all these. He's on every billboard. It's nuts. He does these hair replacement ads. He's everywhere. And all I see when I look at these ads is him on his back end and Jerome just busting right through him in the crowd at Old Heinz Field, just losing it over that. And on that note, Snowman says that it is, in fact, Jack Lambert's birthday. He's 73 years old today. He's not watching this show. So we can wish him whatever we want. My guess is that old 58 isn't hanging around YouTube on this particular day. He's still doing stuff though. Every once in a while a photo will emerge. I believe he's somewhere up in Butler County or something.
Yeah,
on a farm.
Yeah. Now, there's a comment here. Water in the Desert says Roger Goodell really watered down the NFL. Listen, like, if you haven't watched the movie Concussion or like understand the reasons why things changed, they changed for a reason, man. People were getting terribly, terribly injured and hurt, and it needed to change
and killed.
Yeah,
let's call it for what it is. When people are dying early from CTE.
Yeah.
Roger, to point it at Roger and to say that he got soft is also to fail to understand that the lawyers weren't leaving Raj much room.
Yeah.
Okay. Raj didn't have any choice, just like the next guy who's going to end up going down this route, Gary Bettman in the NHL, isn't going to have any choice. Bettman's tried to resist it for as long as Roger has. Bettman has held out a little bit longer, but he's not going to last. All it takes is one lawsuit to succeed.
Yep.
And there it goes.
Denny says, Junior, say how change your perspective. That would be Mike Webster.
And he should have. Well, Junior. Yeah. I mean, Webster was more of an after the fact thing. Do you know what I mean? You think about it. Like most of everything that became known about Webster was well after he passed. In Junior's case, it hit us like a ton of rocks in that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We knew exactly what it was. We knew exactly why it happened. And Junior, so young, and it happened right in front. Like, it was like one day he's playing and he's being Junior, and the next day he's just gone. Yeah. Like, what happened? No, what happened?
Yeah.
That had to happen. It just, Water in the Desert says they changed because of money. If that's how you want to characterize lawsuits and player safety, go nuts. If you want to start coming at us with, these of, not that you did this, but terms about how the quarterbacks are wearing skirts and other offensive terminology like that, as if somehow women can't be tough.
Yeah, don't tell my Navy veteran wife that.
Yeah, she's not very tough, is she?
She can kick my butt.
Foe says the Steelers should trade Pat Fryer. This is so random. Get out of here with this. What is this? Christopher says softer side of the Steelers. This idea that the game has softened because you're taking care of the people who play in it. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, man. That opinion says way more about you than it does about football.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't want to be a jerk here. Okay. But one of the things that people who partake in our channel get to be blessed by on a regular basis is getting to know Ramon Foster, who was, if you think about Ramon's position, every single snap involved a collision. Every single snap involved a collision, and he never came off the field for 11 years. Now, you watch Ramon, and you know about his family. You know how much he cares about his wife and kids. And actually, the only reason he ever misses his show is because he's doing something with his kids. You want to take, I mean, I'm going to just lay this out here. You want to take fatherhood away from him? Is that what you want to do? Is that all right with you? Huh? Because so that you can sound like a tough football fan? Is that what you want to do? Come on.
Yeah. These are people's lives. These are human beings playing the game. I mean, that's just what it boils down to. And there have been already way too many people that have literally died because of it. Died way too young because of it.
And you're starting to see more athletes, professional athletes in multiple sports who are committing their brains to research post-mortem, obviously. And, it's one thing to look back as Williams doing here. Remember how violent the 2010 defense was. I watched highlights and I'm like, it's a good thing we have the player safety initiative. All you'd have to do, you don't even have to go back that far, William. You can go back to like about 10 years ago, Steelers versus Ravens. They had some games. You were sure someone was going to perish.
Yeah.
In that game.
Those late 2000s, early 2010s Ravens Steelers games were bloodbaths. How about
DeCastro and Burfict, since we brought that up?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a play that was intentionally designed, and Dave acknowledged this, for him to pull. Burfict knew he was going to pull. They had no other purpose to run that entire sequence, both teams, other than to have the two of them collide like battering rams. Dave's got a pretty nice life going for himself now. Okay. I'm happy for Dave. I want Dave to be, healthy and to enjoy himself and live long. The argument, the counter argument that gets made, oh, this is the field that they chose. This is what they picked, whatever. They didn't pick dying.
Yeah. It's different. And listen, there are players who just will hang it up early. I mean, there was the center for the Lions just retired. Like he retired at an early age. He was done. He's like, I'm done.
He just said that's it.
Yeah. I was like, I have to think about my long-term health, and he hung him up. I mean,
and Sebastian says, I guess when it comes to the entertainment factor, the new rules don't make it as exciting to watch. You know what? Honestly, Sebastian, I understand what you're saying here. Okay. Steelers versus Ravens in 2025 isn't the theater that it was in 2015. Okay. The games are tight. They're hard fought. They're intense. They usually come down to one kick or another in the final few seconds. And that's really cool, but it's not what they were in 2015. You know what else isn't as compelling as it used to be? How about Christians versus Lions? Speaking of the Lions, okay, where somebody was going to get literally eaten by the end of the event.
Yeah.
How about bullfighting, whatever else, which they actually still do?
Yeah.
This is society. It's okay to progress.
Yeah.
But the staying stone cold about it, like our man watering this and just take away football. You're free to walk away, my dude.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to watch this kind of football if you don't like it, but don't advocate for these guys to, risk their health. And never mind, risking their lives. Teresa says, Ike Taylor said that they were intentionally trying to put players to sleep, meaning at that time, not ruin their careers, but definitely take them out of the game. Well, what I can say now with a lot more information is that it's not all that different. When you're bumping the brain around to different spots inside the skull, each one of those concussions, proven now, has a cumulative effect. That's why they get counted. That's why people like me and Chris find out or try to find out what the number is.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why whenever we talk about the Steelers possibly trading for Chris Olave, like if that's even a possibility,
what's the count?
The concussion count absolutely matters because he has more counted concussions than he does have NFL seasons. That's a concern. Like, at what point will Chris Olave just say, you know what, I'm done? You know, what if
How
he
about
doesn't?
Tua? Sean brings up Tua. What is Tua still doing suiting up on Sundays?
Yeah,
He did the fencing thing. Do you know what the fencing thing is?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't. I'm not very good at it. There's a thing that happens with your hands
Mhm.
or something, or your fingers, where they point in a certain. What is that?
Yeah.
What is that in the human physiology? The moment you see that, it's like, you know what? You made it, man. Congratulations. You'll be an NFL player all your life, but that's it. Go touch some other grass.
Yeah, it's listen, like for everybody who I'll put it this way. For everybody who thinks that the NFL nowadays isn't it's not the game it used to be. No, it's still the most violent sport on the planet. I will put it up against hockey. I just will.
Oh,
Like,
I will too, just because the contact is so much more regular. And by the way, hockey has really moved away
yeah.
from hitting in general. It's more about puck possession. Coaches say if you throw a hit, you're not chasing the puck. So it still has its violence, but it's not football.
I wish people could go to like really get the view that we get for backs on backers at training camp when we're literally standing right there and you can hear the sounds right there. And you're telling me that those guys are doing that, but over the course of 17 games, every single I'm sorry. It's still just because you aren't seeing guys being carted off like crazy doesn't make it still a very inherently dangerous game.
I mean, I'll say this too, is when we talk about, you can watch these things on TV and they now have the players mic'd up and all that other stuff. So you feel closer to the action than you've ever been. But in a couple of weeks, Chris and I are going to be standing shoulder to shoulder in Latrobe for the backs on backers drill.
Yeah.
And you don't just hear what's happening.
Oh,
you don't
feel
just see what's happening. You literally feel the contact. I understand why the drill is in place. I understand that they do not go at each other's heads.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that they are teammates, so that there's no way they're going to be trying to injure, not surrounded by all the coaches and everything else. Okay. But I also understand that I'm just talking about myself, my whole point of view on this stuff, mine. I feel different watching these things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Not everybody will. I'm not going to speak for anybody else, but I feel different watching these things. Like, do they really need to do this? What if they get hurt? It doesn't even help them as a team. Just throwing it out there. If you want to call me softer, I couldn't care less.
Yeah, it's not a soft sport. Just because it doesn't have the headshots and everything else that it used to doesn't make it. It's still the most violent game that there is. It just is.
Yep. Beer's Good Food says one day in the future, they're going to look back and say that this era was tough too. And that's accurate. All sports evolve for the better. Now, to the cynics who'll say, well, it's just going to become flag football and whatever else. We're actually about to see flag football, literal flag football put on a global, massive stage here with the Los Angeles Olympics. And who knows? People might like it. I didn't think anybody would like pickleball. And now we're making pickleball courts downtown.
My gosh, I just like we were at, it was right near the end of our trip in Texas. We went out to dinner, we went out to lunch on Sunday afternoon, and there was pickleball on TV. And I swear, every single pair of eyes in that restaurant was on that one TV, because there were TVs everywhere, and there was one TV that was showing pickleball, and I swear everybody was watching that one. It's like, for me, like when I discovered how awesome curling is, like just couldn't get my eyes off of it. It's crazy.
Danny asks, how did Troy Polamalu do during those drills? He wasn't in them. Backs on backers means running backs versus linebackers. Troy is a safety. I wouldn't put Troy in that circumstance regardless. And Troy was a football player. Troy did his execution on the field in games. He wasn't necessarily a guy that was going to win drills and stuff. There's a difference. Troy was completely instinctual. player. And yeah, Al points out here regarding hockey, if you throw a hit, you're out of position, according to your coach. That's the way coaches are speaking now. So it's much, much less about physicality, although tell that to the Edmonton Oilers.
Or the Florida Panthers. I mean, I know that just won the cup back.
No, that's what I mean. Tell that to the Oilers because they keep getting physical right out of the Stanley Cup final. So, yeah, by the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
There's still a big element of toughness in that beautiful sport here. David Harrison says that pickleball is wiffle ball for people without pitching ability. I'm not sure I get that, but you know what I do when I think of pickleball? What I think of is like the way curling is in Canada. Now, pickleball is way new, so that's not fair to curling, which has been around for 150 years.
Yeah.
But you walk past, you walk in a Canadian city and you look inside a bar, even at like lunchtime or whatever, and their version of Sports Center and stuff, man, all they're showing is curling highlights. They're showing curling matches from last night. And these guys named Gord who are sitting at the bar, they're just wrapped into this stuff.
I love it.
They're all sitting there with their drinks, whatever. It's not hockey highlights. It's certainly not anything at any other sport. They're totally into the curling. It's crazy.
I love it.
Now, it's been like that forever up there, but we're starting to pay attention to it now down here a little bit more.
No.
Because of the Olympics. Christopher says, hey, DK, it's more brutal to work in a steel mill back in the day than ever playing in the NFL. Well, it depends on how you define it. And you weren't getting hit by 300-pound humans. But at the same time, in the NFL, you weren't breathing fumes and stuff that were going to kill you. So that I'm not sure what comparison you're going for here.
Yeah. I mean, there are dangerous things everywhere. I mean, if I didn't have a thing set up here in my basement, I'd be subjected to radon, like there's all kinds of different. Yeah.
That doesn't make you tough.
Right.
Not that the mill workers weren't. The real tough ones were the ones who did both. Okay, that goes back to the earliest days of the Steelers in professional sports.
Yeah,
Toddy, sticking up for the womankind watching this program, says, I dated a girl who played roller derby. She could kick my ass.
Dude, I'm telling you,
not just in roller derby either.
Oh, I've played in hockey leagues like beer leagues that there have been a few girls that have played in there and they've been right there mixing it up, like net front battles, like doing everything you could without breaking the rules, and a non-checking league in the corners, everything like that. They were right there mixing it up, man. There are some really tough girls playing different things.
David Leach apologizes for asking us to talk about football here, and then says, your thoughts on Roman Wilson actually stepping up this year? I'm optimistic. I'm also a Wolverine. Of course, the last time we saw Wilson step up, that's the uniform that he was wearing, because he didn't really have that much of a chance. I believe 5 snaps logged in his 2024 season.
Yeah, one many.
All in one game.
Yeah.
And didn't get targeted. There isn't much to say about that. There is plenty to say about the summer that he's had, though, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, he's left a pretty good impression on everybody, whether it be at OTAs or minicamp, and he was out. And he was out at in Malibu with the group that met Aaron Rodgers out there. So we'll see. I mean, the question has never been about his talent level. I mean, you could see Mike Tomlin's obsession with it at the Senior Bowl whenever Roman Wilson was coming out of college. The question is, how does he fit, and how can he? Because if he primarily fits in the slot, well, the Steelers already have a primary slot guy in Calvin Austin. So Jonnu Smith's going to work out of the slot quite a bit. I would expect Pat Freiermuth to get some snaps there too. You start having too many slot guys. That's why when people bring up Tyler Boyd, I'm like, no, they already have enough slot guys. Like, they don't need another one. Like, so we'll see how it works. I don't know if he can get it done on the outside consistently. Maybe he can, but based off of what he did at college, that's a pretty bold prediction to make. The best way to put it.
It is. At the same time, he wouldn't be the first or the last.
No, of course not.
To jump up after a year like that. The funny thing is we all sound so cautious, myself included, when it comes to Roman Wilson. But at the same time, Troy Fautanu had the pretty much the same level of experience in his rookie
Yeah.
year, and we are just dead set on him. So let's be fair here. Okay, each one of them got into one game, but one of them is your future Hall of Famer and everything else, and yet Ramon Wilson is DOA, and I don't buy that. I've shared this on the show before.
DOA at all.
No. I'm talking about in the eyes of some skeptics. I had a conversation with him. This was in not mini camp, but in OTAs. Just me and him, and we talked for a little while here. And he's aware of the disappointment. He's aware of the expectations. And let's just say that anybody's expectations on the outside aren't going to be as high as his own. And I didn't know what to make of him and talking to him as a rookie, before he went down. So this was like the first really good experience I felt like I had with him, and it was productive. I mean, it really was, because he's a kid that's got his head screwed on straight, and I couldn't have been sure about that before. Let's take one more question here today from somebody ideally still on the football subject. That would be, what's with all this eggs and ketchup nonsense? We're trying to talk football here, people.
I like eggs and ketchup.
Well, according to this, Ramon Wilson eats ketchup with his eggs.
That's good. Ramon Wilson.
Come on, man. That's not okay.
Yeah, it is. That's how I eat my eggs.
Your view of this doesn't count. It's like when you came over and you asked why I was. I mean, she came from Romania, and she asked why I was putting I was putting the cereal in first and then pouring the milk on top of it. And she thought that was backward. And then she said this ridiculous thing that it makes no difference. You imagine putting the milk in first and then the cereal?
No.
This gets you like
Deported?
I was about to say deported, but that's not funny anymore.
Not funny anymore.
That gets you like alligator Alcatraz or something. No. You did what to your cereal?
You see it?
Look behind us. Look at this. What is this? Ooh. The FedEx man is coming in here with a giant set of huge boxes of Steelers stuff.
Thank you, sir.
Wow, that is immense. That is all of our Steelers merch that just came in this moment for the coming season.
All right.
Man, we are optimistic about these sales, are we not? That's a lot of stuff.
Also, the draft's coming up too, so.
Well, none of that's in here. So
Okay.
there'll be the draft stuff. That's going to be a separate thing here. Sean Grass jokes that they're all 3XL Minka jerseys. Dwight Jefferson suggested it's actually Moan hiding in there, and Moan is going to pop his head out like a cake.
Oh, Ramon would have a hard time fitting in those boxes. Like even if
Getting myself in enough trouble with this episode. Yeah, David says here, milk before cereal. Come on, let's be human about this, he says. Human. No, you did she bump the camera?
A little bit. It's fine.
We made it. All right, guys, let's wrap this one up and come back with our business segment. I have to look for transition 2. Here it is. Hang on. Steelers gear. A lot of Steelers gear. This is just the Minka jerseys too.
No.
That's right. That's what he totally stiffed us with the Minka jerseys here.
See you later.
FedEx guy. Taking care of business here. Everybody's a comedian, she says. Yeah. Checking out how our business went for the day. She's going to put up our membership count. Snowman came in with $5, as did Brett Caruso. And respectfully, Brett, I'm not doing rumors and stuff that's in other places or whatever. We do our own reporting here. Same thing goes for you, Matthew. Something. Minka lost. You know what? If you have an issue with something that somebody else says, you know where to find them. We're here to answer for our own work. Noodleman. $2 there, bringing up Derrick Henry. That was a good move doing that. Lester Holmes with $5. David Zeppo and Jay both came in as new members. Kerry Russell dropping a gift. Paul Heggie says he's on his way today to visit Winnipeg for the first time. Any recommendations? Well, I mean, in all seriousness, we've got one above all others, and it's just a must to go to the Canadian Museum of Human Rights. You'll never forget it. Oh. The boss is over here. Her top one museum anywhere in the world, better than the Louvre. I mean, in terms of the impact that it had on us. Go in there with an open mind and an open heart, and make your way through the thing. Enjoy all of the different. There's even one entire floor is just a garden of contemplation after all the disturbing stuff you just saw. Like, you're just supposed to sit there and let it sink in. There's nothing like it in the world, not internally, not externally. Also, while you're there, the Forks are right adjacent to it, and you will love. What are the fries? What are the fries called? The fries at the Forks in Winnipeg.
I don't know.
Oh, they're like. Just go get the fries at the Forks in Winnipeg. They're fantastic. You'll absolutely love them.
It counts at the bottom. See it?
So the counts what? Oh, the count. Oh, I mean, we're up a little bit from yesterday, but yeah, let's get going on this. dkps.net/join. It's for the whole channel. Let's get us up to speed for training camp, which, by the way, Chris, is 2 weeks and a day from today.
From tomorrow. Yep.
Does it feel like it's that close, or is that far? Which one?
No, it feels like it's close. Because like I will get back from Atlanta covering MLB All-Star Weekend. It'll be a week. It'll be a week away. So and those days are going to fly by. I mean, that's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday will fly by like it's nothing. So I already feel like it's. Yeah, the good thing is I had a nice little siesta to get some downtime before it all happened, which I did not have last year because I was moving.
Oh yeah, you were moving your whole life here. That little detail.
Yeah, that little thing. Literally got here.
Timothy's asking about on our website on DK Pittsburgh Sports about the teacher discount. Yes, it applies. I'm giving you my email here, my direct email. Send it right to me, and I'll take care of you right after the show. Okay. We respect teachers here, and we respect people who do the medical work, volunteers. Who all else is in that? EMTs, police, fire, and whereas it applies to the military, it's completely free. But like she's saying, all the underappreciated jobs, and for the military, nobody ever pays to be on DK Pittsburgh Sports. Carol says, respect us old people. Carol, you're not old. And that avatar picture doesn't look old. Does she look old in that picture?
No.
I've gotten in enough trouble today. I really brought up Alligator Alcatraz. Good Lord.
Oh, I just snorted. That's not good.
School bus drivers. Bus driver Al asks, what about school bus drivers?
Sure.
Boy, that sounds a little self-centered there, Al. I don't know, man.
Come on in, Al.
Yes, Al, go to the same, send something to the same email. We'll get you in as well. Guys, listen, this was a fun show. Appreciate you. Chris, what do you have? You have something coming tonight on the website, right?
Yeah, it's actually going to be up soon. I already wrote five things, 5 changes we might see on offense. That's been up for a couple of days. What's going to be coming up here probably in less than an hour, 5 changes we might see on defense.
Oh, you got 5 changes coming. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm reading this one. Postal workers too. Yes. The answer is yes. Just email me. I'll get you in. Okay. If you work hard and you do something that you feel is thankless, email me. We'll get you in. All right, guys. We'll see everybody on this program again tomorrow.
So I get one too?
No, you don't work hard enough. Plus something about the cereal too. No.
You said work.
No.
You said work hard and feel
No, but the cereal thing disqualifies you completely.
Oh,
End this.